Maurice Donald Xiberras was born in 1936 during the outbreak of the Spanish Civil War and spent his early childhood in the UK as an evacuee as the Second World War plagued Europe. Although by his own admission he wasn't an early academic bloomer, he went on to study at university, a rare feat for Gibraltarians at the time, and obtained his teaching certificate from the University of Bristol. He assisted the Christian Brothers at the grammar school, and later taught Spanish, Latin, and politics, as well as coaching cricket, his principal sporting passion. Maurice described himself as a reluctant politician, but his teaching years saw his first strikes against the establishment.
It was anti-establishment, the establishment of the colonial civil service here, the UK government, the AACR, which was part of the establishment in my view, and the barons of Irish Town, as you might call them now. And they formed a kind of
clique,
a nexus, and this is what some of us set about trying to dissolve.
Mr. Xiberras helped organize a teachers' strike against the Education Ministry for parity of wages, and published his political views in local papers on a regular basis. Although terrified of public speaking, he felt himself being drawn further and further into the political arena, and constantly found himself hauled before the colonial secretary for breaching his terms of employment as a civil servant. In 1968, as a member of the Integration with Britain party, he was part of the consultation conference chaired by Lord Shepherd, which led to the creation of the 1969 Gibraltar Constitution. A year later, he stood for election with the IWBP, and together with the Isla Group, became part of the coalition government headed by Major Robert Palisa. His electoral claim was that Sir Joshua Hassan had secretly touted the possibility of a dilution of British sovereignty over Gibraltar.
The IWBP was the first party with mass support, and it caught the mood, it caught what people wanted to do. They wanted a strong line with Spain. They wanted no concessions. We plastered Gibraltar with no concessions to Spain. Now, we were determined that we wanted this indissoluble link with Britain. And that was perhaps almost our sole area of interest.
Maurice Xiberras took on a hugely important role as Minister for Labour, becoming responsible for the replacement of the Spanish workforce, which had been lost with the closure of the border. But a double blow lay in wait for him. After just 3 years in office, his party lost the 1972 election to the AACR, and he was cast back into the opposition benches, becoming leader with the resignation of Major Palisa. Then his joint proposals with Sir Joshua Hassan for integration with Britain were rejected by the Foreign Office Minister Roy Hattersley, and effectively led to the disbanding of the IWBP. He spent 3 years as an independent in the House of Assembly before resigning his seat and moving to London for personal reasons. Maurice Xiberras cast one last roll of the political die in 2003, standing for election with the Labour Party under Daniel Feetham, a man he would continue to support for the rest of his days.
Maurice Donald Xiberras, 1,395.
Labour Party.
He failed to get a seat at that election, but continued to express his political views in the local media, even until very recently. Although retired as a teacher, he obtained a diploma in psychotherapy in 1995 and worked as a professional counsellor in the UK. Maurice Xiberras never pigeonholed himself into a place on the political spectrum. He said he would lean towards the left, but would take whatever values were the right ones for him. And despite having been rejected by the Hattersley Memorandum, he will always be remembered and associated with one word: integration.